to start, we're going to be joined by Alma talking about the positive impact of games. However, before we bring Alma up to the stage, I would just like to do a little bit of housekeeping, like I always do. You probably know all of this already, but even if, just in case you don't, or in case we've got some new people here, indulge me just a moment while I let you know to please use the chat, just like Selene has done. So hi, Selene. Great to have you back again. Selene's been lovely all week, sending such positive vibes and messages. It's meant the world. So a massive thank you. So yeah, use the chat, continue the conversations flowing. You can chat through the talks as well if you want here at Pocket Game Connects Digital. It's encouraged. And please use the Q&A function to throw any of your questions in, because at the end of every talk, I'm going to be coming back, going through some questions with our speaker, and the same will go for the power panels with our moderators. They'll be going through some of your questions, so please do throw them in. Last things, you'll see that that Catherine's chat says PG Connects, so hashtag PG Connects, so please use that hashtag. There you go, as Kat's thrown in. We'll be tweeting all day, so use hashtag PG Connects to talk about the show, because we'll be wanting to highlight, retweet, whatever social media platform you're using, to shout about what you're doing at the show, and yeah, hopefully highlight if you're enjoying the show. And finally, if you are somewhere where maybe we had some speakers earlier today and it's 4 a.m. So if you're somewhere like that where you've got to keep the noise down, or maybe you've got a child who's trying to get to sleep, or you're in a busy office and you want to use you want the sound off but you want to use subtitles, we've got subtitles now, so please make use of them. They're great. They give accessibility to loads more people to enjoy our panels and our talks. So please use them. And we've got live transcript as well. So especially during the power panels that we've got coming up, you can even go backwards and see who said what and when, and keep the flow of the panel in your mind. So please do make use of that, because they're a dead exciting new feature, one that we're really proud to have as a part of the show, to increase the accessibility and bring everyone into this welcoming family that is Pocket Gamer Connects Digital number 7. But of course, in the spirit of that, I would like to welcome Alma up to the stage, who is going to be talking about the positive impact of games. And that is an absolutely great talk to start industry visions and values. I mean, what else is there? I mean, the positive impact is so amazing. And I live and breathe games. I know the positive impact of games. So yeah, this is I think a really important talk. Hi Alma, we've got you here now. You're on mute, but we'll get you. There you are.
Sophia. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Oh no, it's awesome to have you here. It's so lovely to have you here, and I really love the theme of your talk, positive impact of games. I'm someone who, to anyone who knows my backstory, they'll know that games has meant an awful lot to me, and has been a place of happiness for me. So I'm really looking forward to hearing your talk.
Thank you. And I have to say bravo for the team as well, for all the work you have been through also to make it more accessible.
Thank you.
It's very impressive, and it's good to see more and more accessibility. So it's great. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, no, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to this. I don't know, do you have any slides you want to share?
Yes, sure.
Yeah, fantastic. So while you share them, I told you'll have to get used to me saying this, but I'm going to remind the audience, throw your questions into the Q&A, because I'll be coming back at the end. But otherwise, we'll get once you've got your slides up, I will disappear off into the background, and then I'll come back at the end.
Perfect. I just put it on my.
Yeah, not a problem.
My screen.
Yeah, it's just going. Full screen now. There we go. Great, we've got it.
Okay, perfect.
Fantastic. See you in a bit.
See you. Thank you, Sophia. Well, hey everyone. So I'm Alma. I'm the co-founder and CEO at Aequaland, and it's an edutech video game developer based in Switzerland, in Lausanne, on a mission to create meaningful games to educate, entertain, and impact children using inclusion, creativity, and sustainability values. I've been working in gaming for the last 3 years, but I've been in marketing for 9, gaining experience in tech, including virtual reality, medtech, XR technologies, as well as gaming and education. And I'm on the committee member as well on the International Gaming Association, on a mission to empower women and minorities in games. And that's why, because of Aequaland and because of my engagement on the community, here I am. to talk so how we can build a better gaming industry and the importance, on diversify this gaming. So let's to start with, I would say that, well, this is a special year for everyone. These latest 2 years, the pandemic actually has been drove a 20% boost of sales in gaming globally, as well as creating nearly 20,000 jobs alone in 2020. So there is a massive also power of games through since COVID, and many consumers, turn to gaming obviously for entertainment, but as well, to stress relief, relaxation, and connection to the outside world, and report actually that they feel empowered and have a positive mental health effects playing video games. So what we can do to build a better game industry. And I think we have to start really to say how that industry looks like at workforce level. So GameSmith research found that, and I'm not surprised, that 74% of the workforce is male and 64% is white. So to build diverse games, we have to change that and have more inclusive hiring practices and ensure representation of everyone across all areas. Because I was working on marketing, and you always find on marketing, human resources, communication, always more women, but we need to also change that and bring also women on development process. And it has to move from nice to have to must to have now. And Electronic Arts, Facebook, Jagex, Xbox, and many others are already on board. And I have to say that a diverse industry would lead to more creative and inclusive games. And you cannot have diverse games without diverse people making them. And I'm very pleased to have seen, new forms of Black womanhood on screens, breaking the stereotypes, breaking the mold of traditional racial and gender characters, because Black has always been more for the evil part and the bad on the gaming, and women sexualized or objectivized. And now we can see titles like Dandara, who is an Afro-Brazilian warrior, Abeline in Assassin's Creed, and leading character as Bangalore in Apex Legends, and as well as Black men representation. I have to say that I was very surprised when Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, was announced as the first Black character leading this into a new console game era. And also, don't forget the representation of LGBTP plus, TQ plus in video games. And here we have Krem from Dragon Age. His backstory is what makes him also a good example of representation. And so there is, we are slowly getting there, and it's good to see. And that's what I mean. Diverse workforce is diversity in, and that will move into diverse games, diversity out. So diversity for me is not to bring more equity into our offices, that's one thing, but is to make better games and make the industry look like the people who play games. And we are concepting and building characters. We must think about everything, like on all the axes of diversity, like gender, race, age, ability, body shape, income, sexual orientation, and many more. And when I was actually working at Oswi Games, during Death Lab production, is a virtual reality gaming racing game, my team created 5 cars and 5 men. And when I was doing the beta testing, I say, hey, why don't have any women, be the pilot? And they say, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, why not? Let's include 2 women. And I say, okay, cool. And then I was checking the morphology of this character, and I was like, why do not have different morphologies, different skin tones? So at the end, we changed actually, and we have very different characters. And that was my little contribution on the art of the game, but it was not that my team actually was not racist or not inclusive, is that they don't even see. And that's what I mean. And so what happened with this problem is the everyday norm. And when we are white and we are in our bubble, we don't even see it. And if you don't have a sensibility as I do, or other people may do, or talk, or feel safe to talk and say, hey, why we don't do this differently? So that's something that I would say in a company, if you don't have women or people from a minority, or if you don't have this sensibility or it's not a safe space, you should ask to experts to help you to build that diverse game, to bring that diversity. And that's on the game art, but also I have to say that on this game it was funny as well, because I have to review the copy for the Spanish translation. And when I was checking up, I found that there was a lot of sexist messages because it was a racing game. And these people like, you drive like a girl, or you drive like my grandmother. And I love to drive, and I learned driving when I was very little, because my dad is a car leader and I've been in races, and I'm a really pretty good driver. And I was like, yeah, what does mean? Is it a good thing or bad thing to drive like a girl? And so because I was there, we changed that as well, and we changed it for, you are like a turtle inside itself shell now. I called you turtle, haha. So it's just you can really be more inclusive and using an inclusive language pretty easily, but you have to be aware of that. And so yeah. And here is another example, is Tell Me Why, who's also the lead character is a trans man. As well, I have to mention female avatars and a range of skin colors, like tones, have and even hair types. So are expected now on when you create your own character. And I think customization is gonna help also customers to self-express themselves through games and feel safe to be truly there, who they are, and have more fun. So diversity or diverse games for me goes from game design, game art, characters, environments, copy, game mechanics, everything. And as well as the sales and promotion of the game. For myself on Death Lab, I keep in mind to include always also women to test and promote our games. And within virtual reality is a very niche market and difficult, but you always find women and you always find people. So it's true that there could be less, but you can always find these minorities and talk to them and give them the light and the voice. So plan on that. And so stereotypes take a long time to die, but this shows that changes are making maybe slow, but they're happening. And from diversity, we have to move to inclusion. And hiring women or minorities is just one thing to achieve balance. But I think key as well is to ensure that all your employees, all your team are welcome, feel welcome, they feel safe, they feel like they can talk, and you know, and they are protected, and they are listened to as well. And you have to really create an environment where your team feels safe to do so. So creating these workplaces where our employees feel safe to be authentic, to be themselves, to speak up, and you know that as I speak up, you know, to include 2 women on the game, or to change the copy. That you have maybe people in the team, they see things as well, but they are afraid to talk. So that's very important to bring this inclusion as well, and this feeling of being safe to be yourself and to be able to speak. And as well, it will also be applying to the game themselves, so consumers will be able to express themselves. Um, and that will move into inclusion out. And inclusion for me is not only about creating that safe space, but also is creating this inclusive culture. And I was in an event in 2018 back in Oslo, and Jara, this is something that the CEO of Jara mentioned, and I think is very compelling. It's a metaphor, and he said that diversity is inviting people to your party, and inclusion is asking them to dance with you. And this really resonated with me. And I think it's something that every CEO or leader should ask themselves, you know, to their team. Are your colleagues dancing? Are you dancing at your company? How can you make sure they are, and they are being themselves? And I think these questions should, you know, bring open discussion on how the company is run, and how people are feeling, you know, within the managers and leadership, and and with even in the same level. So this is also key for being creating better games and a better industry. But it's through a step by step, you know, like you have to bring first diversity to bring this culture. So, and I want to talk about Anita. She's been is very controversial, and many people hate her, many people love her. But for me, what I want to say about her is like she has been really a valuable critic, and she actually since 2012 when she started to speak up, she has like really like we cannot ignore, you can like or dislike her, but we cannot ignore her impact. And she has been a catalyst for change, and she brought, you know, this new attention to the topic of sexualization of women, objectification of women, women as a reward, and etc. And also the, you know, like all the topics about the stereotypes on women in games. And since that has been like a ripple effect on a movement on diversity and inclusion within the industry. And in parallel, we have like emerging appreciation of emotional intelligence, growing researchers like Brené Brown, and we have also social movements such as Black Lives Matters, Me Too, and so on, that really is showing this change. You know, it's slowing, as I said, but it's happening. And she is a catalyst so far. Then what we cannot forget about that is important as well is to have investment in inclusive incubators, accelerators, and public seed funding. So more ways for anyone to create new games. And for example, Riot Games launched the Underrepresented Funders Program, and a plan to invest 10 million in funders who are underrepresented minorities and women in video games. But we have also seen announced 1 million to lift up local Black-led communities. Electronic Arts as well donate 1 million for educational funds and equal justice. So there is more corporations involved on driving this change. And yeah, at Aequaland, we're looking for funding. So yeah, we're talking to investors and talking also to VCs, and hopefully, or even we're also looking into these programs to maybe to get some grants as well to go to the next level with Aequaland on the production of our game. So if you're an investor or want to talk to me, feel free to reach me out. And another big thing, so I discuss about diversity and inclusion, that is more like talking about people level, but we have to don't forget about the planet and the impact that corporations and people have on the planet. And there is this Playing for the Planet Alliance was launched during the climate summit in New York, organized by United Nations. And this is like a group of big gaming companies, and not that big, who have made a specific commitment for the people on the planet. And you have commitments that range from green activation in games, reducing emissions, planting millions of trees, reducing plastic in their products, and so on. So this is to name a few. And they also organize a yearly Green Game Jam. So this is another way also to have a positive impact on the planet and on the people. And obviously, we all individual. These people say, I know we are not individually responsible. We are all individually responsible, and we all have an impact on what we do as a personal level. But governments actually and corporations are the ones really who can make any kind of meaningful impact. So that's I wanted to also raise that. And Jane McConigal has been through inspiration for my work and with Aequaland as well, because she's really like, for me, someone leading this gaming for good, you know, within games, and how really games can be used to drive change. And she creates many different type of game, and what she always used mobile or digital technologies to turn everyday spaces into playing fields, and everyone, you know, can be teammates. You can explain and improve the way it's a way to improve how we learn, how we work, how we can solve problems. and lead our real lives. And I will highly recommend. I really enjoy her book, and I got inspiration to create Aequaland thanks to this book, where she shows how we can leverage the power of games to fix what is wrong with the real world, and from social problems like depression and obesity to global issues like poverty and climate change. So I advise, because she really talks about how, how we can gamify actually our real life to make it more fun and enjoyable, and create a better future for everyone. So yeah, I would say that that's let's create a new world where we all want to participate in. And I'm not sure how it's gonna look like, or what that looks, but I would say I will applaud to Jane, to Anita, and to all the CEOs and people that are leading corporate social responsibility initiatives within the gaming industry, and people that are driving gaming for change, as we do at Equaland. And that's all from my side. I would say this is, you have my contact details. Feel free to send me an email or send me an invite on LinkedIn. Happy to have a talk if you're interested to know more about Equaland. And if you have any questions, yeah, feel free.
Hi. Oh no,
Hey,
thank you.
Sophia.
Thank you so much. No, it was a really, really lovely talk, and I love the fact that you touched on so many different things there. And I know a lot of these things are in the news at the moment, and are things that we talk about at the shows and everything like that. But I think it was nice to see you touch on so many of the different areas, and obviously give people different things that they should be considering and thinking about. We do have a few questions, if that's okay to check out.
Yes.
Yeah, so one of them, which I'm going to address this one first, only because it's one of the last things you were talking about, so it's fresh in everyone's mind, is do you feel there's still a disconnect between governments and the digital society and everything that's going on? It's actually quite a hot topic in the UK, and not necessarily to do with video games, but to do with racism online on social media platforms. And so I just wondered, do you think governments kind of understand the situation enough and are acting enough?
No, actually, yeah, are totally governments and companies are totally disconnect
Yeah,
to people. And now we see little by little that there is more and more companies trying to connect with people. And one example is not within the gaming industry, but I like to talk is Tommy Hilfiger. Like they produce a line, a clothing brand only for people with disabilities. And I think that's something really like they know it's not going to be make profit for, but they want to walk the talk and to
yeah,
connect really with the people and for the people. And I think we need more companies walking the talk, and governments as well, because there is a lot of brainwash, I would say. There is many companies that they, like on terms of diversity and inclusion, or even sustainability issues, they say, hey, we have one woman on on the board, or we have, one we have planted 1 million trees, yeah, 1 year. What happened the rest of the years, that is so that's what is happening. So there has to be a connection. But I think COVID has also accelerated this connection, like this, because connection to connect, reconnection, like
yeah,
so I hope this is waking up leaders as well as governments to connect more with the people, and to connect more, like and walking more the talk. But
yeah,
still there is a long way to go, but there is progress has been made, I
yeah,
would say.
yeah. And on that point, I mean, we obviously and we talk a lot about how people in the industry use their voice for change, and how they consider how the impact of what they're saying means something to people around them. And I think sometimes that emphasis is put onto the individual, but do you think there's any immediate changes rather than, I mean, I think often we find that there's a lot of talk about long-term changes. What immediate changes do you think that companies can do to diversify their workforce? Are there any, like, even if, let's say, they don't have room to employ, you know, is there anything that they can do immediately to sort of help underrepresented minorities in terms of their representation in the industry?
But as the first is to be aware. If they are aware is what happened on Death Lab, you know, you are aware and you can already make little changes on the production of the game that you are making already. So
Yeah.
they can just change a character, integrate a character, integrate add maybe on the pipeline when recruiting a voice actor, have someone from a minority, or like there is always, you can integrate that into your daily operation quite quickly, even though on the production, on the distribution, could be recruiting someone or could be just on the result of the game. So I think there are quick wins that any company could apply without, you know, having like a big diversity and inclusion team on board or anything. This Death Lab, you know, us we were 10 people. It was only me talking with the team. So if you have always someone sensitive to the topic, it's going to help. But if you don't have someone like that, you can maybe request support from someone outside, or even, you know, I would say for an engineer programmer, ask to your girlfriend or, you know, your boyfriend or whatever to, you know, to give feedback as well. So there is, yeah, I think it's more to open the conversation as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And,
There's another question here as well, which I think is interesting. Is so you mentioned incubation initiatives for minorities and diverse teams. What can be done to make to help these funds, you know, reach the right people and make sure that, you know, they are uplifting the people that they're meant to uplift? I mean, how do we help spread the message of these incubators and, yeah, make sure that the right people are getting access to them? Oh, there we go.
well, I think, yeah, communicating and sharing, you know, like is always sharing, and also connecting the dots, you know, like, so, you know, someone that can be, you know, like anything that share it with your network, share it with your family, friends, or people that may need that, because sometimes there is companies doing things that we don't know until someone. I was not aware about Riot's games, until someone sent it to. It was actually an investor. Alma, I think you should apply to this. And it's like, okay, thank you for saying. So, but I wasn't aware about what this initiative. So I think, yeah, sharing is caring, and that I will be that a ripple effect on communicating from one person to another. Yeah.
I think you're right there. It's that ripple effect, and always thinking about all the people around you and how what you do affects them. I suppose one thing I was wondering is, like, you know, you touch on so many different things here, and in the talk, I wonder if there's some sort of like message you wanted to leave your audience, like, well, leave the audience with, like, for them to consider how they approach things moving forward. And maybe they already do and they do lots of it, or maybe they're wanting to do more. I mean, what's the one thing that you hope that people take away from your talk and consider moving forward?
I would say, yeah, try to be creating more inclusive practices within your daily life first, you know, like how you can be more inclusive yourself, or try to be more aware of your impact, you know, because trying to reduce the bias, because actually it's going to be quick, but one thing, I went to Burger King, you know, with my nieces, and they told me, no, it was a McDonald's anyway. They told me, you know, like, do you, because they give up a Happy Meal, you order a Happy Meal and you have a gift, and they told me, is a girl or a boy? And I was like, what? There is two girls, you know, but what I mean is, like, there is so many bias, even for, you know, giving up two little toys in a Happy Meal. They ask
Yeah.
you for the gender, so we don't really see that. What I mean is, like, is everywhere, the pink hair, the blue hair, like the stereotypes are everywhere, and it's very easy to fall into them. But if you try to, you know, be more conscious and be more open mind, or maybe read about that, so you develop also yourself, you know, like more sensibility to be more open mind and more respectful towards others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really good. And the last thing I was going to ask is, you know, are there any sort of immediate ways that people can use their voice in the industry to help minorities, underrepresented people, help diversity, anything like that? What would you say to someone who's sitting there thinking, you know, I want to help, I want to use my voice. Is there anything that we haven't touched upon, or a nice way to sum up how people can use their voice to uplift people?
I think you can use by, by supporting others and lifting others, as like make a post, on LinkedIn and say, hey, I love this new product or new game from this, like black or women-led studio, or, like, I think give a light, also a voice to all these people as well, and support them. And I think that's what, yeah, don't be afraid to share, and don't be afraid to speak up from others, and give them light. And yeah, that would be my recommendation.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, yeah, well, thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. I could talk about this all day with you, to be honest, because it's obviously, well, it's something that I'm often on the other side of the table talking about as well. So it means a lot to me as well. So it's lovely to see people like you come in and sharing all the positive work you're doing and all those messages. So thank you so much for kicking off our industry visions and values track.
Thank you, Sophia, and
Ah,
yeah, having me, and
yeah.
well, all the best for the rest of the conference. It's almost over, so yeah, it's the last, the last bit.
Yeah, it's the last part, but you know, we kicked it off in style and with some really great messages that mean a lot to me and hopefully mean a lot to everyone in the audience. Yeah, a big thank you there from Selene in the audience as well, and from Sophie. So thank you, Alma.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Take